Welcome to That 80s Show. How are you, Dory? And why do I hate Jamie Lee Curtis?
I'm good, and that's probably a question only you can answer, and I'm interested to hear it.
All right, so we're going to do some dream interpretation here on That 80s Show, your favorite little place on the internet where you can grab a piece of the 1980s. So, Dory, I hate people talking about dreams. I can't. It drives me nuts because it's like...
I know when someone's like, I must tell you my dream, and then you got to sit there and try not to roll your eyes and fall asleep.
Oh, the worst is when they go, and you were in it. You're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you dreaming about me, So I don't like it. But I've got to break my own rule. I've got to talk about my dream. I've got to talk about an occurrence. So the other night, in a dream, you can't scream or talk out loud.
Yeah.
Okay. And some people say you can't work out numbers in a dream. I can't work out numbers in real life. So I'm like, I don't really understand.
Me neither.
Yeah. I'm like, people say, in a dream, you can't calculate. Yeah, in a dream. Yeah, okay. What am I?
In my dreams, I can calculate.
I'm fucking Stephen Hawking. So, the other night, I wake myself up going, fuck you, Jamie Lee Curtis, fuck you, right? And I pop up.
You literally woke up?
I literally
woke up saying that?
Woke myself up screaming that, right? And I woke up and I was like,
And your wife?
So I was like, wow, I must have screamed out loud because I woke myself up. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, I come back to bed, and now my wife can sleep through an earthquake. She's slept through tremors. When Joburg has tremors, she sleeps through them. She sleeps through alarms going off, nothing wakes up. But as I get back into bed, she goes, why are you so angry with Jamie Lee Curtis? I was like, wow, I must have screamed loud. So she goes, no, you screamed it 3 times, but you progressed it. You went, fuck you, Jamie Lee Curtis. Fuck you. Fuck you. And progressively got louder till I screamed out and shouted out. I was like, she says, what were you dreaming? I was like, well, Jamie Lee Curtis was chasing me around my childhood home that I grew up in. Right? And
was she wearing the leotard from Perfect?
So this is what doesn't make sense, right? It was current day Jamie Lee Curtis, okay?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, when last did I think of Jamie Lee Curtis? And you're right. It was probably when I reviewed the movie Perfect with John Travolta. And John Travolta in short shorts. That's going to give you good dreams or bad dreams. Depends which side of the fence you sit. And then round about the same time, I saw her in the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary because obviously they were in a movie together. So
True Lies.
True Lies. That's it. So the first thing I think, Jamie Lee Curtis, is she dead? Have I? Is she on the dead pool? Right? How prophetic are my dreams? How pathetic are they?
Were you premonitioning?
I know, we got to uncover why do I don't hate Jamie Lee Curtis, but I'm not like, I don't have major feelings either way. Why would I dream she's chasing me around my family, the home I grew up in?
So you still haven't figured it out?
Is it worth trying to figure out? I was so angry with her. She climbed through a window. That was the point.
It sounds like something out of her more recent movie, that crazy metaverse movie that I can't think the name of, that very long title that I can't think of right now.
So maybe it's a sign.
It won all the awards.
So maybe
she was visiting you in another metaverse.
I gotta watch it maybe. But listen,
have you not watched it?
No. Like I say, I don't have feelings towards Jamie Lee Curtis. Well, I didn't.
She's the best part of the movie.
Okay.
She's literally the best part of the movie. Yeah.
If only we knew the name.
Incredibly long title with kid from Goonies.
Right.
That movie.
That really narrows it down. The kid from Goonies. So
it really does. The Asian kid from Goonies, does that narrow it down more? Okay,
right. Okay, yes. Because he disappeared. He was off the scene for ages, and then he... Oh, no, I'm thinking of the guy from Indiana Jones. That's the one I'm thinking of. So...
the one from Goonies, I think, also disappeared. I think.
As happens to 80s people.
If only we had a thing called the internet where we could look up the facts on,
If if only there was a better 80s podcast than ours that did research that we could listen to and find out the actual truth. That'd be great.
Or that our listeners could listen to actually get some content of substance.
Like, in TV, there's a thing. They got like companion podcasts. Like, we should introduce companion podcasts to our podcast. It goes like, yeah, if you want some vaguely true, relatable things about the 80s, it's us. If you want like the proper stuff, it's somewhere else. Hey, listen.
Factoids here, facts there.
Facts there. Do not be confused. A factoid should not be confused with a fact. Here's a fact, though. I love watching these auction sites when not eBay, but like legit auction sites when they've got like mint condition VHS cassettes from the 80s and how much they sell for, right? So here is one has just sold £8,000 for a 1986 VHS cassette, still in its original wrapping of the original Back to the Future, the inferior Back to the Future compared to Back to the Future 2, but still worth £8,000.
How do they know it's the original wrapping? You can rewrap something.
No, they do gradings. There's
really?
There's people who do these things, auction houses, they do it properly. And they make sure it's original wrapping.
By the way, that is the best Back to the Future, just saying.
Listen, the fact, like we always say, this is a true fact. Back to the Future 1 and 2 were actually supposed to be one movie. But at the time, they didn't think people would sit through an over 2-hour movie. So they said, okay, we've got to split into two. So kind of...
And if it was one movie, I would have gone, what a great movie. The first half was probably just slightly better.
Dory, it's like choosing your favorite member of Bros. I mean, who can separate the Bros brothers? But here's another factoid. So you think, oh wow, £8,000. What is that? We're talking like 160,000 Rand for a Back to the Future VHS.
And is it ever going to be played, or is it going to be kept in its original wrapping?
Oh, because you want to flip that. You go, I got 8,000 now. I got to wait. Like, here's the cynic in me. I got to wait for something unfortunate to happen to one of the main stars. Double the price. Hey, that's business. It's not my personal opinion. That's business.
I can't believe you said that. I cannot believe you said that.
I'm just saying that's how people operate. There was a version of a VHS cassette of Back to the Future owned by Tom Wilson, the guy who plays Biff Tannen, right? His own personal copy. They sold that for £60,000.
60. So hang on. So that wasn't in its original. That was something that he had played?
It must have been. It doesn't say the condition of it, but of course owned by him, his original. That's gold dust there. There is another auction this week that's selling like a whole bunch of original stuff from the 80s Star Wars movies. They got the Princess Leia slave outfit. You got to put that in a museum because that is not on today's climate. But we'll watch that because we would like to see how much things from the 80s sell for, as does David Hasselhoff, because he's got a lot of stuff to move. He loves an auction. David Hasselhoff loves an auction. So last week, I did a movie recommendation, Chevy Chase, and we kind of went, Chevy Chase, not the best guy. Okay. He's just a dickhead. And we kind of go, it's a bit of our own fault because he was leaving breadcrumbs through his whole career that he's a douchebag, right? And only now that we go, oh no, it's all been revealed, it's all been outed. He's not the best guy. Dory, I have found something, thanks to cracked.com, titled, Thought Chevy Chase couldn't get worse? You haven't heard him rap. Chevy Chase.
What?
Chevy Chase released a rap album. This thing is an absolute mess. Now, of course, we're a podcast. I can't play the music, but we're going to post up all of these videos individually. Be warned, on our Facebook page, That 80 Show SA Facebook. Now, this album, and according to this article, nobody knows what it's supposed to be. Because evidently, if Chevy Chase is releasing an album, it's going to be a comedy parody album, Weird Al Yankovic type style, right? And he has a a song. The first song that comes up is one of the first big hip hop songs, Rapper's Delight, but he's now done a parody of it called Rapper's Plight, right? Okay.
Oh. You're a poet.
Hey. So the words go, well, welcome Jim, you in the house of Slim, and I'm happy to say it's me. Dig the party, don't stop if you want to bop. I got uppers, downers, LSD. Don't be low, have a blow, and it will get up and go, Joe. Have yourself a little breeze, a toot for the snoot if you want to go the route. I got grams, quarters, I got OZs. It's about drugs, which the original song was not about.
Right.
Kind of puts you into the headspace of where Chevy Chase was in late 70s, early 80s. Remember, he was friends.
Wait. Was he doing the drugs himself, or was he so racist that he assumed all black people who rap do drugs?
Law from column A, law from column B, but I'm willing to say he was doing a lot of drugs. SNL at that time was just Snow White, right? And that's got to do with the cocaine. So,
okay.
That's the first song, right? Rapper's Plight. There is a autographed copy of this, Chevy Chase, that is signed, that has been sold for $300 on eBay, right? In its original album, signed by him, in its original cover. He then does a cover of I Shot the Sheriff, right? The Bob Marley song. Now, you've gone, okay, you're a white guy appropriating rap, and you're not doing it because you like rap. You're playing on something. What are you going to do when you sing Bob Marley? Are you going to go right? So he does. Okay, so
no.
But you go, okay, it's a parody. You're going to sing different lyrics. Yeah, he does. So the lyrics go, I shot the sheriff and I also shot the deputy. I shot the bailiff after taking all the PCP.
Oh my God.
Okay. So that's not great. Again, Chevy Chase being a dick on drugs.
Wow.
There is an original song called Short People, which is an absolute mess. He finishes off with the song, the Beatles classic song, Let It Be, right? We all know that song. Beautiful song.
I'm scared to hear what he did.
You're in church. He sings it, doesn't change a lyric. All the lyrics as they are, doesn't change a thing. But he has the record sped up and sings it in Alvin and the Chipmunks style. So just take a moment to think about that. When I find myself in times of trouble, but in the style of the Chipmunks by Chevy Chase. That's the joke, as this article says.
Okay, from now on, we are no longer allowed to speak about this man again. That's it. We're done.
This cracked article closes off that says, it's a sped up version of Let It Be, and even despite the acceleration, it is still the longest 3 minutes and 16 seconds of your day. Are we banned from ever talking about Chevy Chase? Is this the end of Chevy Chase on That 80 Show?
I think so. It has to be, right? I mean, unless, he dies. Maybe then we can say something.
So we're going to put all these songs up on That 80 Show SA Facebook page so that you can just scroll through them, skip ads, scroll through. That's what you're going to do. Just get the gist. We wouldn't want anybody listening to the whole thing. So, because last week my movie recommendation was a very terrible Chevy Chase movie called Modern Problems. And Chevy Chase has lots of problems that span the decades. And now we're going to jump into Dori's movie recommendation. And I always love it when Dori's movie recommendation, when she puts the trailers in the running order, or puts something in the running order and says, don't open in capital letters. Then I know I'm in for a doozy. In for a doozy.
So I stumbled upon this movie accidentally. I may or may not have ever seen it, but I'm going to talk about it regardless. Like, I feel like I haven't seen it, but when I watch the trailer, there's something so horribly familiar about it that I think I might have. But then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is definitely a Dom movie. Remember our friend Dom, who has come on the show a couple of times?
Good friend Dom.
To talk about, like B-grade 80s horror type stuff. So I actually messaged Dom and I said, do you want to join me on the show? Or just send me a voice note. with like a 1-minute review of this movie, because I assumed this would be one of his favorite movies. He says to me, I've never seen it. I'm like, what? You're kidding. You're kidding, right? So I'm like, I don't know if I've seen it, but I stumbled upon it. I went into a weird rabbit hole. I can't even remember how I entered the rabbit hole in the first place. But let me read you the synopsis of the movie before you watch the trailers. And you might not even want to keep the trailers in the podcast. But I do want you to just see. I just want you to see what I'm dealing with here. This is what can only be described. I think it is technically officially Grindhouse, the genre.
Ooh.
It is a schlocky horror from 1982 called Wacko. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but this is it's called Wacko. Wacko. Okay.
Right.
How I came about it was, like I said, I can't remember how I fell into the rabbit hole, but I was looking up stuff that Andrew Dice Clay had done. Because I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. I still haven't watched Fairlane. But I do feel like I need to at some point. Not an 80s movie though, so
yeah,
we'll get to it. But then I saw that he was in this movie, and his character name in this movie drew me into it, because I was like, that is the funniest character name I've ever heard. And that's how I kind of went in. And then I was like, oh my God, this movie's from 1982. I watched the trailer. I was like, I am talking about this movie on the show, whether I've seen it or not. I'm definitely not going to make an effort to watch it at all. And I'll tell you why. Okay, let me start with a review of it from when it came out, to tell you why I'm never going to watch this movie. Jeremy Wheeler of AllMovie gave the film 1 out of 5 stars and wrote, Wacko virtually vanished from the face of the earth, which, as it turns out, isn't necessarily a bad thing. For its hundreds of gags and zingers, there are actually very few laughs in a seemingly endless 84-minute running time. That's one of the reviews that it got.
I'm hooked. I really want to see this movie so bad.
I have to say, when I watched the trailer, I thought, oh my God, Paulo would love this, which is why I put 2 versions of the trailer on for you to look at, because they both show different scenes, which are all hilarious.
Right.
Okay, watch the trailers, but then for the people who, might not see the trailers, I'm going to actually just read the synopsis from Wikipedia. But before we do that, I need to tell you Andrew Dice Clay's character's name, because it is a thing of beauty. Where is it here? Give me a sec. Yeah, no, that's okay. You know what? Watch the trailers and I'll find it.
All I know is today's October the 31st. 31 backwards is 13. It's Friday. It's Halloween. It's the 13th anniversary of the lawnmower killings. There's a crazy loose. It's prom night. I'm out of coffee.
Oh, there was a phone message for you.
Oh, wow. From Norman?
At first it goes, your daughter's gonna die tonight.
Friend of yours, dear? Probably. Is that you? Why'd you run away? Don't you want to go to a Halloween pumpkin prom with me?
Well, if you're trying to put me off watching that movie, didn't work.
The trailers made you really want to watch it.
Exactly.
How funny.
How rubbish.
Funny does it look?
Looks terrible.
But complete rubbish. But I think, like I said, when I watched the trailers, I was like, this is weirdly familiar, even though in my brain, I don't think I've seen this movie. There's something, when I say nostalgic, that's the wrong word, because nostalgic has a positive vibe to it. It's not a positive nostalgia. It's like I kind of feel like a little bit ill when I watch it. I get like a bit of a nauseous memory.
Kind of like Durkees. Kind of like drinking, like remember when Durkees came in a tube in the 80s? Kind of like that.
Ugh.
That's how you feel.
So I just want to quickly, the synopsis on Wikipedia is hilarious. By the way, Andrew Dice Clay's character is Tony the Schlongini.
I love Andrew Dice Clay so much. I know he came up with his own name for the character.
I mean, logically, right? I mean, and it says here, he's the coolest kid in school. He, along with many others, gets killed by Mr. Pumpkinhead, which is played by, I'm not going to give the ending away. I'm not going to say who the killer is.
Ooh.
But basically, okay, so Dirk Harbinger is a police officer obsessed with stopping history from repeating itself. 13 years ago, a man wearing a pumpkin head and driving a lawnmower murdered several children. The night is Halloween and everyone is a suspect. The school janitor Zeke is brought in for questioning. Throughout the film, when the word geek is used, he reappears and corrects the speaker, saying, "It's Zeke." The father of the family is too obvious a suspect and is questioned by police. He is usually caught. This is my favorite part of this. Oh my God. He is usually caught by his daughter Mary trying to creep into the bathroom when she's showering or peering in her window while she's sleeping. His daughter catches him and screams and always says the same line, "Damn it, Daddy, what are you doing?" Kennedy always replies, "I'm just mowing the lawn." The daughter replies, is always the same, "Sure, Daddy, that's what you always say."
How the fuck did we get out of the 80s?
I don't know if I should read anymore.
How did we get out of the 80s unscathed? I mean, listen to the shit that we were watching. How did we get out undamaged? Maybe we got out so damaged. What the hell?
It all started exactly 13 years ago when Mary Graves' older sister was murdered on the Halloween prom night by a power mowing maniac. Since then, Mary has experienced horror, sexual frustration, even psychoanalysis, but she still sees little lawnmowers everywhere. But tonight will be different. Tonight at the new Halloween prom, all the questions of the past 13 years will be answered as the pumpkin-headed killer has returned. But hot on their trail is an obsessed cop, Joe Don Baker, who won't allow history to repeat itself. I'm not going to read any more. But
is the dad the dad Pumpkinhead?
I'm not saying who Pumpkin is.
Okay.
Because maybe people want to watch it. Not going to give it away.
No.
If you want to know, go and check out the Wikipedia page. They give away who the killer is. And we'll put the links to both trailers on our Facebook page because both of them are really worth watching. They both have different scenes, and I think that's enough. I don't need to watch the movie. It's enough.
So
that is my offering this week.
How much is Andrew Dice Clay in it? Tony Schlongini.
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
I don't know. Probably not a lot.
They probably traded off him because he's the only one. So who else became? Julia Duffy became quite big.
Julia Duffy was famous from Newhart. Mm-hmm. She was in Newhart before this. Actually, Newhart might have been after.
After this? Sure. No, because she looks teenage.
Maybe at the same time.
Maybe same time, yeah. Around about the same time.
Maybe around the same time.
Yeah, I think methinks that they're very much trading off Andrew Dice Clay in his fans.
Oh, they're trading off no one. This was like a complete niche. I'm sure it didn't do very well at the time. It's probably become some sort of cult classic since then. But the fact that Dom hadn't seen it makes me think, it really must be that bad. Like not even good bad. It must be bad if he hasn't seen it.
Like no copies made available for distribution. That is Dory's movie Wacko. Conveniently in the week of Michael Jackson's birthday. So, hey, that's if you meant that, well done.
Totally unrelated.
Totally unrelated. So we used to have a critic of the show, Mr. Spike Ballantyne, who said one day...
What do you mean used to?
Okay. It was we got weekly critique. Now it's more sporadic.
Yes.
And he was like, one day you guys are going to run out of movies and TV shows and music. I said, we'll never run out. We'll never run out because we're not afraid to plunge the depths in our movies. Because, the 80s was a great time for movies. We've done all of those. We've recommended all of those. I think we were very much
recommended all the good ones, which is why I've just spoken about Wacko.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
We're very much in the era now. Say, no, we will prove to you we'll never run out of 80s movies. Run out of good ones, yes. Never run out of them. Because, of course, remember the 80s, it was the time of the VHS. And let's be honest, right? Now on streaming, there's a lot of shit on streaming. They got to fill it up. They just got to fill it up. Don't care with what, they got to fill it up. In the 80s was the same. People had VHSs. They wanted to watch stuff at home. You got to give them stuff. So there were a lot of cheaply made movies, movies that kind of referenced a better known movie, a lot of straight to video movies. And I think we're very much in that realm now, Dory. Okay. because we spoke a few weeks ago about there was kind of a thing that happened in the 80s with movies where they would take a movie franchise or a original movie that did quite well, and then they'd either make a really low budget sequel of it and series of sequels, or they would make like copycat movies that when your parents went to go rent a movie, they took it because they said, oh, you want to watch the movie about the robot cop? And it's like, yeah, this must be it. And then you turn it on and it's Robot Cop. So I do not want to watch Robot Cop. Robocop. But what do you know about
Copo Robot?
Copo Robot. But it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Or there were the sequels, right? So my movie is based on a very iconic late 70s, early 80s movie. Did very, very well. The sequel did not so well. This is the third one that came out 1989 to close out the 80s. But it had two things for me, and I remember watching this movie, and for me, this was the best movie of the whole series, probably because, well, for two reasons. There is a red herring when it comes to a movie when it's got not just one name, not just two names, but it goes by three different names. Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Like that one that I spoke about a while back called The Office Party.
Yes.
But also called two other things.
Right?
Yes.
But it happened in the 80s because of like different release areas, because they wanted to release in a certain area. So we got a lot of movies in South Africa that were different to what they were called in America because we took the English naming convention, the naming convention from the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd go, I've never seen that movie before until you watch it. Oh, it wasn't called that. And then, God, when they dubbed it into Afrikaans, you don't know what the hell you're watching. You're just like, what is this? What am I watching here?
Mistart in Miami.
Why is that always the one? That's always the one.
That's one I always refer to.
Well, because you can't exactly go McGaver or like.
Well, I can't remember what the Equalizer was dubbed into.
Oh, yeah.
Die Man van Staal.
Die Man van Staal was the Equalizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
no, Die Man van Staal was the $1 million man.
The $1 million man.
What
I remember once we spoke about the Equalizer and cousin Louis had it, the Afrikaans one.
I can't remember what it was called though, but it was really great.
Yeah, I just remember Die Aaspan and Die Nachtmotor, aka Night Rider. But anyway, that's not the end of it.
Die Aaspan.
So my movie, it in some places was called Speed Zone Fever. Okay.
Wow.
In some was called One for the Money. But the title I'm going to give you that you're going to relate to is Cannonball Fever, which is the third in the series of movies based on the Cannonball Run. Okay. So Cannonball Run, remember it, loved it, Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, shenanigans all over the place. And then they had Cannonball Run 2 with a lot of the same actors. By this stage, people were like, and we're talking like 10 years later from the original Cannonball Run, they said, okay, we're going to make a third one. And everyone was like, no, we kind of done. Burt Reynolds like, I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
No one wants to be part of it. So even though it's based on the same Cannonball Run race, it's not related to any of the other two movies. It's like, okay, well, it's the same world, but it's got nothing to do with those. It's not a sequel.
Does it have any original cast at all?
No one returns. No one returns from the original. But you're talking 10 years later. Like, I also think it's time to move on. You know, but it doesn't have a shit cast, right? It's got main stars John Candy and Eugene Levy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they came that time in the 80s, they came as a trio, they were a duo from Canada. It's got Melody Anderson. It's got a lot of cameo appearances, including Peter Boyle, Brooke Shields, Michael Spinks, the boxer, Carl Lewis. That's what Cannonball Run did. It just had a whole bunch of people. But I got to tell you about the two things that was like, why did I love this movie? So the first thing was the iconic Lamborghini Countach, the 1989, I think it was 1988 Lamborghini Countach. We're having a conversation the other day of like, what sports car would you buy? I was like, if I couldn't get hold of Magnum's Ferrari, I would get the Lamborghini Countach from this movie, the red one. Right.
Not the Was the white one from Miami Vice?
You got the white one, you got the yellow one, but I'll get the red one from this movie because that's just it. It just races around. It's the best car. You wanted it as a kid. And then cameo. Second reason, probably the main reason why this was my favorite Cannonball Run movie. A cameo by Alyssa Milano. I mean,
of course.
Lamborghini Countach and Alyssa Milano. Hello, posters in my bedroom. This is what's happening. This is what it's all about.
When you say cameo, like how long is she in it? Is she like a decent character? Like
pretty much one scene. So her father is a character from the previous Cannonball Run movies, but she's now taking driving lessons. So she's about 17 in this movie. So she's taking driving lessons, and they keep saying, "Oh no, your dad would want you to drive more aggressively," and she's just very scared to drive. But then, of course, there is one of the Cannonball Run people kind of intercept her, and she races them. So that's who she is, and then you don't see her again. Brooke Shields, as well, is an air hostess who, because it's the 80s, foils a plane hijacking, because that's just what happened. Just, they're constantly,
I think I might have seen this movie. This is all sounding slightly familiar. I do think I might have seen it.
We've all seen this movie. Okay, you may have called it by different things, but we've all seen it.
Right.
It's
maybe on Bop TV at some point.
It's very much a Bop TV vibe. Now, if you haven't heard that name in a long time, think about it. If you've never heard that name at all, so what happened in South Africa is that it's currently now, it's the whole of the Northwest Province, Bophuthatswana, was Bophuthatswana? It was there-ish.
I don't know, actually. Yeah. I don't know what.
Anyway, within South Africa, there was an area that was independent and wasn't part of South Africa. So they didn't have the same restrictions on content in TV shows that we had in South Africa. But it's not that far away from Johannesburg. So on a clear day.
Literally an hour and a half's drive.
Exactly. On a clear day, in the right area, you could tune your frequency and you would catch Bop TV and you saw all the stuff that was banned here, all the uncut versions. You could see that.
They had amazing shows, honestly.
They really did. That's the first place I watched Fresh Prince. Even though Fresh Prince came out later.
The first place I watched Miami Vice. It's where Miami Vice was first.
You see, it was all those places. Uncut, undubbed, Bop TV.
Uncut, undubbed.
Tell me that you're from the 80s without telling me from the 80s. I remember Bop TV. So Dory has probably did watch this on Bop TV. It definitely was called Speed Zone on Bop TV. But yes, also known as Cannonball Fever, One for the Money, Speed Zone Fever. Oh, it's also called Speed Zone Fever. It's got 4 names.
Oh my God.
It's got 4 names. Speed Zone, Cannonball Fever,
not a good
One
sign.
for the Money, and Speed Zone Fever. Oh boy. Oh no, wait. Sorry. It's called Speed Zone, Cannonball Fever, One for the Money, which is, they're just saying what they're doing there. We're just making this because people think it's Cannonball Run.
Such a long title, it's ridiculous.
And then Speed Zone Fever. Listen, another clue that a movie is not the best is that you can find the full thing on YouTube. And the full movie is on YouTube.
Yes.
Full movie is on YouTube. There is even a cut of it, a 30-minute cut of all the racing scenes, of all the car scenes. So that's fun if you like that. And I did like it because I like Alyssa Milano. Hashtag not creepy. I was 9 or 10 at the stage, so I'm not being a pervert.
Right.
Just all fine. It was all fine. So I don't think we covered ourselves with movie recommendation glory this week. Wacko and...
Not at all. Although, I mean, if people love B-grade schlocky grindhouse, I have excelled this week.
No, I think you've done quite well. I want to talk to you about something that was a precursor to reality TV, something called a 1986 documentary called Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Like, I never had many heavy metal friends, like prime heavy metal, like when heavy metal was a major thing in the 80s. But I reckon that any heavy metal kid would have got hold of this and loved it. So basically, it takes place outside the concert, it's tailgaters, outside a Judas Priest concert in 1986 in Maryland, right, in the US. So these
So
two...
was that at the time, was that during the time when Judas Priest was in trouble for being satanistic?
Constantly, right? We're talking in the 80s, you're not having Judas Priest getting away with it. You're not getting radio play, your records are being burnt, and the kids are loving it. So these two filmmakers...
Yeah, I mean, the more satanic you were as a metal band, the more love you got.
Yeah, exactly. So these two kids, student filmmakers, decided we're going to take a camera, we're going to actually go film these tailgaters outside the concert, right? And, concerts now, they're a pain. Yeah. Oh, it's so corporate, it's so sanitized. But there it was just like, oh, well, get in the parking lot, it's cool anyway, can't do anything, right? And they filmed Judas Priest fans. It's about like, the whole thing's on YouTube. I'll put up the link for it, so you got to watch it. It is a real novelty to watch. It was the staple on the Nirvana tour bus, right? Kurt Cobain, Dave Grohl loved it. Would constantly have it on in the background while they were touring around with Nirvana. It's been referred to as the Citizen Kane of wasted teenage metal. And oh boy, are the kids wasted. And it's so funny because like every stereotype of a metalhead from the 80s that you have in your mind is in this movie, and they were actual real people. Everyone just starts like thrashing at any point. There's the like devil horn signs. There's like a guy, they call him the Zebra Man.
Mohawks, or was it were there mohawks, or was it all like just long hair?
Very long hair, the mullets. Oh my word, the mullets are glorious. Men mullets, female mullets, androgynous mullets. It was just mullets. It was mullet city. The clothes, the little wispy mustaches. I've developed an obsession with 1980s beer cans, right? Because now beer cans have changed. They're aluminium and they're all shaped to stack. They were just tins. They were just like tins. It's like drinking beer out of like a tin of baked beans. That's what it was. The cold drink as well. So I've developed an obsession with that. But you got to watch this. Heavy Metal Parking Lot. There are two versions of it because they came back a few years later and re-released it after it caught the cult, kind of like caught a bit of a cult vibe, and they released a longer version of it. And then they also released one in 2006 called Heavy Metal Parking Lot, Where Are They Now? Where they tracked down the kids that they spoke. That
must have been so cool.
I can't find that.
How many were still alive?
Exactly. I can't find that, but that is hilarious, especially if you're going to put the two of them together. But you got to watch it because you go, sometimes you watch 80s movies, you go, oh, these people are so stereotypical. Nobody acted like that. No. They 100% acted like that. That is some good times. Those good times. Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
Cool. I'm gonna that I will make an effort to watch on YouTube. Maybe not your movie, but that I'll make an effort.
It's so quick. Watch that. Don't watch my movie. Watch Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
I shall.
I want to finish off on a game we haven't played in a while. 2 80s truths and a lie. Okay, where I give you 3 factoids. And listen, why we don't play this game is because, oh boy, the factoids that we have on the show, the true stuff that happens, that is not real.
Yeah.
Like last week, we discovered that Pee Wee Herman, Christopher Reeve, Robin Williams, and David Hasselhoff were once roommates. Like if I had to tell you that, you'd say, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Totally. That would have been my first one. That's the lie.
That's the lie. We also, even earlier on in the month, we revealed the fact that David Hasselhoff starred in a sequel of Shaka Zulu where Grace Jones played Shaka Zulu's wife. That's a lie. That is a lie. It's not. It's true. So I don't know a pattern that it's always involves David Hasselhoff. That's not,
He does seem to be the running gag through most of our things.
He's the best. God, I love that man so much. I love him. He just plays the Hoff. He just plays the Hoff.
We're going to interview him. I swear it's going to happen. We're going to interview him.
It's going to happen. On a train. The man loves trains. That's another factoid. True or false, David Hasselhoff, his wife is afraid of flying, so they take trains everywhere. True story. He's got to get her to the UK at some point.
factoid.
True factoid. He's got to get her to the UK at some point. So I wonder if Mr. T knocks her out. I'm going to see, I ain't going no plane. And then next thing, knock him on the plane. Okay. I'm going to actually do a little bit of a cheat here because I hope you haven't read one of my articles, because I'm actually going to pop one of my article topics into 280s Truths and a Lie.
You know I'm too lazy to actually read your articles, right?
I banked on that. Right. So I've got 3 factoids here. Right. So the Terminator line, the most iconic. When you say Terminator, what's the most iconic line?
I'll be back.
Right. In the script, it was originally written as, I'll come back. Right?
Okay.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger said it wrong and said, I'll be back. So that's the first. Is that true or false? Right? Think about it. There's a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger content on Netflix right now. So the original
There
line,
it is.
I'll be back, was originally written down as, I'll come back, but Schwarzenegger said it wrong. A few weeks ago, the actor Paul Rubin, who played Pee Wee Herman, passed away. And of course, he was famous for the TV show Pee Wee's Playhouse. The theme song of Pee Wee's Playhouse, I can't remember at the top. You won't remember at the top of your head. It's not one of the iconic ones.
Well,
Maybe
I
we're a little
told you
older.
I know nothing. I know nothing about him, remember?
Right. It was
I
actually,
never watched that show.
the theme song was sung by Cyndi Lauper. Theme song, Pee Wee's Playhouse was sung by Cyndi Lauper, second. And now, because I'm all about, yes,
They both sound like lies so far.
okay. Now the third one, because I'm all about making sure I'm on trend. You said the other day you went to watch the Barbie movie. Have you watched Oppenheimer?
Not yet.
It was like a whole thing. Barbenheimer. And Barbenheimer, obviously,
Yeah, I know. I don't think I can do 3 hours in the cinema.
right?
I'll fall asleep. Although I'm sure, apparently, I have heard that it is riveting from beginning to end, and you don't feel the 3 hours.
But
I'm going to wait until it becomes available elsewhere.
and you can break it up, right? Because I liked when these super long movies, I think Titanic and the original Avatar were kind of the first ones. And of course, tape wasn't digital. So,
Dances with Wolves.
was
Dances with Wolves was the first movie that had an interval in the cinema.
that's what I'm getting
Because it
to.
was over 3 hours long.
That's what I'm getting to, because now it's digital.
Okay.
You can have as long as ever. But of course, then it was on film. So
Yeah.
they had to change the reel.
Yes.
And you had an interval. That was
Exactly.
great. I love that. You need
There
an
was
interval.
during Dances with Wolves. I remember that.
Interval in Oppenheimer. Right, let's have it. Because
Okay.
people were all doing that Barbenheimer thing. The hashtag Op-Barbie didn't quite have the same ring to it.
The thing is, Barbie is, I think, just over 2 hours.
Okay,
So
popcorn size.
it's not much difference. But I suppose, if you've got a weak bladder, like most of us who were around in the 80s now do, it makes a difference.
Slipping your big gulp. Right. So I'm all about Oppenheimer, or I'm all about jumping on trends. So Christopher Nolan was inspired
Yes.
to find out more about Russia after listening to the song Gorky Park.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds plausible.
So those 2 are true, 1 is a lie. So let me recap it. The original line from Terminator wasn't I'll be back, it was I'll come back. Cyndi Lauper sang the Pee Wee Herman theme song. And after listening to Gorky Park, Christopher Nolan, decided, hey, I'm going to find out more about Russia.
I'm going to say that the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing is the lie.
Ooh, interesting. Are you locking that in?
I am.
That's actually true.
Okay, well, then the Cyndi Lauper thing's the lie.
The line "I'll be back" was written in the movie's novelization as "I'll come back," but of course, when it came
Wow.
to saying it,
Imagine he'd actually learned his lines. Wow.
imagine that. Imagine that. Hey, this is the guy that they dubbed his voice out during Conan the Barbarian, his first movie. So there was a reason. Then you're going on Cyndi Lauper, which is also true, that she revealed in her autobiography that she sang the theme song for Pee-wee's Playhouse. Now, I've got to take some liberties
I've done badly
on the Oppenheimer one.
This week.
He was inspired by an 80s song, but it wasn't Gorky Park. It was actually Russians by Sting. A Sting song that doesn't immediately pop into your head, but it was Sting's response to the mutual assured destruction doctrine between the US and the Soviet Union.
Wow. Not a Sting song I've listened to very often. Not like one of my faves by any means.
Yeah. So, and in it, he talks about, he sings about Oppenheimer's Deadly Toys. So he's like way back as a kid in the 80s. I remember that song, and it started my fascination with Russia. He revealed this in a panel with Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. What are you doing with Robert Downey Jr.?
Is Robert Downey Jr. not in the movie?
I don't think
he is.
Oh, he is. He is. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yes, I did see that. Yeah. He is in it.
I don't think he would just randomly pitch up to a panel.
He's Robert Downey Jr.
Else to do today.
He's Robert Downey Jr. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is so Tony Stark to me that because Tony Stark died in Avengers, I just think he's dead now. He just doesn't act anymore.
That's terrible.
Not a bad thing.
Terrible.
It just goes, well, because he retired from Marvel, and I just took it as, okay, well, then you retire from all movies, one would assume. And after Sherlock Holmes, perhaps you should have. Sorry, Robert Downey Jr.
It wasn't that bad.
It
wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
Hey, we're just lucky he's still alive, because things could have taken a very different turn if he hadn't cleaned up his drug problem.
Hey.
You know, he was spiraling at one point.
He was definitely spiraling. So that was 2 80s truths and a lie. I'll come back. Terrible. Terrible line. No one's saying it. No one's quoting it 40 years later. So this has been That 80s Show. Everything we spoke about on the show you can find on That 80s Show SA on Facebook. We're still on Facebook. We believe in it. We believe that it's... We believe. You get all the others. You get the others.
And more importantly, it's still called Facebook. It hasn't changed its name.
That's why we stuck with it. That's why we stuck with it. We're not on no X. We're not on that. You know, so we're sticking to Facebook, and that's where you can find all the stuff. Because listen, we know our demographic.
We are on Instagram thanks to Barrett, who manages our Instagram for us.
Yes,
we couldn't be asked. Sorry.
There is a thing where you can let your posts go from Facebook to Instagram, but that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work. But
we wouldn't do that.
We're also on Facebook because we understand our audience, right? We understand. We feel you. We're there with you. Facebook and LinkedIn. No, LinkedIn.
It's our vibe.
Open to work, looking for opportunities.
I love LinkedIn. There's the coolest shit on LinkedIn. I know people won't believe me when I say that, but there is the coolest stuff on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Honestly.
If you can get yourself past the threads of people who feel blessed, honored, privileged to work, if you can get past all of that shit, you will find some cool stuff. People just self-promotion. .com is what
not even that. I mean, there's a Saudi Arabian guy who just posts really cool, like tech innovative videos of cool stuff that people are inventing, and they're great.
Yeah, I'm with that. Good. That's the gems. That's the gems. That's like this show. You just hang around, and eventually there will be a gem pop up somewhere. Movie recommendations this week didn't do it, but I guarantee you want to hang around on our Facebook page to get those Chevy Chase videos and his songs. Actually, they are so shit. They are so shit. It's unbelievable. Dory, favorite thing you learned in the show this week?
I think it's going to be that heavy metal parking lot thing that I'm going to go watch. I think the fact that exists and was made sounds really cool. I'm going to go check that out.
You're going to recognize at least 5 people, 5 archetypes that you know. Thanks for joining me, Dory. Goodbye.
Bye.